Hello, Helldivers! Today, we're going to be talking about bugs. More importantly, how to kill them. Bugs are the Horde faction in this game. They try to overwhelm you with numbers, not strategy. Now, there are higher tier bugs, such as Brood Commanders, Chargers, Bile Titans, Stalkers, even Bile Spewers we could consider higher tier. But for the lower tier bugs, they don't really have that much armor. We're talking things like Scavengers, Hunters, Warriors. Stalkers don't even have armor, so that's kind of like between. It's a middle ground. But for enemies that don't have armor, you can get away with killing them with almost exclusively small arms fire, things like primaries and secondaries. Now, things like the Liberator, the SMG, the Diligence, they're going to do fine here. But if you really want the cream of the crop bug killing machines, you got to look towards the shotguns. The Breaker, specifically. Not the Incendiary, not the Spray and Pray, you just want the regular Breaker, because it has really high damage, a decent magazine capacity, and it just has beautiful buckshot capabilities that will let you tear through an entire horde of unarmored bugs. Considering that they are meant to overwhelm you with numbers, you will be dealing with hordes of unarmored bugs even at the higher levels. It's also important to note that even though these enemies are easy to deal with, you need to deal with them quickly because they are a threat in numbers and they can and will cause bug breaches to happen. Things like Scavengers, Hunters, Hive Guards, these will start to kind of dance in place and emit a gas from them. That is what causes bug breaches. Kill them quick. Let's talk about Hive Guards now. These are more of an annoyance than a threat because of their armor, protecting their head and front legs. They will attempt to face you at all times to protect themselves. They will also hunker down when taking fire to further protect themselves. My advice is to aim for the underbelly when they're facing you. As someone who plays a lot of this game solo, this is my go-to for killing Hive Guards. But when a Hive Guard has its attention diverted somewhere else, flank it and put it down from the side or behind by aiming for the fleshy backside of the bug. On top of that, you can use a support weapon as well, like the grenade launcher, autocannon, recoilless, railgun, although I personally recommend grenade launchers and autocannons just because they have an AoE and can affect those around them as well, without being extremely taxing on ammo like for a recoilless. While we're on the topic of support weapons, I highly recommend any newer players watching this video to ditch the machine gun unless you're playing with a group and play with the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher decimates hordes and lightly armored enemies with ease, but it also destroys hatcheries, which is an objective that newer players kind of struggle with just because they can be very hectic. Once you unlock the autocannon though, I recommend making the switch because it also destroys hatcheries with ease, and I'm going to talk more about why the autocannon is so great later in the video when we get to Chargers. Now let's talk about Stalkers. These enemies can dish out a ton of damage, but are actually pretty easy to take care of. Don't be scared when you see them, as you can shred them with a Breaker. They will camouflage themselves in order to sneak up on players while moving almost silently. Keep an eye out for them. They do not spawn randomly though, so keep in mind that if you ever see a Stalker, it means there's a Stalker lair somewhere nearby. Oftentimes, you can move in the direction you see the Stalkers coming from to lead you to their lair and deal with it the same way you would any bug hole. Also, honorable mention to the Corrosive Smoke Orbital. It is really good at taking out trash mobs while helping you conserve ammo against those same mobs, or it can also help you to keep a trash mob from following you as you run away and they pursue. Now let's talk about what is, in my opinion, the most annoying bug in the game, the Spewers, or as I like to call them, ticks. Now, there's three types of ticks. A yellow version, which is the weakest and has poor tracking, a normal green version, which hits harder and has better tracking, and an armored green version, which has the ability to launch mortars and has armor that protects their head from small arms fire. For the normal green and yellow versions, their head is actually their weak point, so if you don't want to use your support weapon, aim for the head. For the armored version, you're not going to be able to kill them as fast without a support weapon, but you're going to want to aim for their bile sac instead of their head. Now, I do recommend using a support weapon when you see ticks because it makes it easier and, you're more ammo efficient with it. I personally recommend the grenade launcher and autocannon. Railgun gets the job done too, but just for fire rate purposes and ammo efficiency, I would highly recommend using the explosive support weapons. I would only really take grenade launcher over autocannon when I want to run an energy shield backpack, because yes, it can defend against all bug attacks too, even though it doesn't say that in the description. Very useful. The armored green enemies like to travel around in packs as they shoot mortars. That makes aiming for the bile sacks the ideal way to handle it, whether you're using your primary or a support weapon, because when they explode, they actually cause a damaging effect around them, and it can one-tap any neighboring bile spewers. We'll very quickly cover the Brood Commander, but they're also easy to deal with. One thing you should know though is that they do not immediately die once you destroy the head. It will kill them, for sure, but just not immediately. If you want to conserve ammo, aim for the head. If you want to kill it quicker, aim for the legs. Support weapons are not necessary for the death of this bug. I usually just use the breaker and find it faster to kill them with the breaker just because it shreds the legs off so much faster. But if there are a group of them, feel free to whip out your autocannon or grenade launcher to take out the hordes. It will kill them very quickly in like 2 to 3 shots, just like the bile spewers. Now it's time to talk about the most impressively designed enemies in the game in my opinion, the Charger. The easiest way to get rid of one is by calling in the Orbital Rail Cannon Strike, but obviously these are on a high cooldown, and there's going to be more Chargers than you have Orbital Rail Cannon Strikes, eventually at the higher difficulties. You can use different types of ordnance to deal with these, and they will kill if they hit. That being said, things like the 500 kilogram bomb need to basically land inside of the Charger when they come down in order to secure the kill. If it lands next to it, usually their armor will protect them against it. While doing heavy damage, it just won't be an insta-kill. Before we talk about the support weapons needed to kill this thing with ease, let's talk about the behavior. If you're being chased by one or more Chargers, make sure to run behind indestructible cover. This can stop them in their tracks, either affording you time to reposition to kill it, or to just get away and run to the objective. Now let's talk about support weapons. The hands down easiest way to kill a Charger is by using the railgun, shooting one of its legs twice to fully destroy the armor and expose the fleshy bits, then using small arms fire to destroy the leg, and once one leg is destroyed, the Charger will die. While the railgun is the easiest way, the autocannon can actually 2-tap a Charger's leg, but it is difficult to pull off and requires practice. Because this game has angular values associated with hitboxes, the autocannon will bounce off the Charger's armor. But if you're able to hit the inside of the leg, the angular value will actually work in your benefit, as the round will be directed deeper into the armor. Once the armor has been even slightly stripped, you'll be able to finish off the leg with another shot, killing the Charger instantly.
Oh shit.
After spending a lot of time experimenting, I found the easiest way to replicate this is to dodge a Charger and aim for the far leg after dodging. I've not mastered this, but I've met with more success than failure when using this strategy.
I got the science down, holy shit.
Lastly, let's talk about the Bile Titan. These things can be devastating if you're not prepared, so make sure to always bring at least some countermeasures for these guys specifically when choosing your loadout. They only have 2 attacks, a spit attack and a stab attack. You can destroy the soft bile stacks on their underside with small arms fire or with support weapons, and once that is destroyed, the Bile Titan will no longer be able to spit.
Oh shit.
You want to use heavy ordnance, and regardless of what weapon you're using, as long as it can damage the Bile Titan, you want to aim for the mouth and head. Aiming for legs here is kind of pointless, because, as you can see in this clip, we have shot the leg 3 times with the recoilless rifle, and small arms fire is still not able to hurt it. Now, you may be able to use another recoilless rifle or an autocannon on these broken spots. I have seen legs be destroyed in the past, but it is way more efficient just to aim for the head off rip, or to use heavy ordnance with your stratagems like 500 kilogram bombs, like I'll show you here soon. First, let's talk about the spear. I never see people using this. I feel like I'm the only one, but this thing is very easy to use. It can 3-tap a Bile Titan to the body and 1-tap them to the head. I've occasionally had a bug where the spear refuses to lock onto a target, and that is very frustrating, but it's rare when that happens, for me at least. Please don't sleep on the spear. This thing is dangerous. Now, I see a lot of people rocking the railgun for these guys. That is also a good choice, but it takes around 3 to 6 shots to the head, depending on if you are overcharging it or not, to secure a kill. I've seen plenty of people 1-tap a Bile Titan with a railgun, but even after asking them for advice and following it to a T, I've never been able to replicate that. Coincidentally, all the people I've personally seen do this have been on console, so maybe there is a damage bug depending on your platform. If you have experience with this, please let me know in the comments below, as I'm very curious about this railgun strategy. You can also use the recoilless rifle, but that is not recommended. It's just not as efficient as the other two. Instead, there's a few different stratagems that can help you out, the 500 kilogram bomb being the most exciting of the options. You can also use an orbital rail cannon strike, which will 2-tap to the body and 1-tap if you get lucky and hit the head. And you can also use the orbital laser, which can fully kill a Titan. Here in this clip we had 3 Bile Titans spawn on top of each other, and I can show off 3 different methods. First off, the orbital rail cannon. Mine landed first, instantly killing that one because it hit it in the head. My friends hit the second one in the body. So then I call in an orbital laser. This can kill from full health. These guys have been a little bit weakened because of the orbital rail cannon strikes though. Third, as you're running around the map, you'll sometimes find abandoned warheads in the ground. If you shoot these, they will cause the most damaging explosion you can get in the game. They will 1-tap Bile Titans from a considerable distance too. That was 3 Bile Titans killed in a matter of 20 seconds. Now, mortar sentries and rocket sentries, autocannon sentries, these can also take care of Bile Titans, but they're not nearly as practical because they will take more time to kill it than just the instantaneous kills you can get from stratagems and support weapons. But that about covers it for Bile Titans and all of our enemies. Now, there are a few lesser enemies I had neglected to cover just because, you know, they die the same way as the other lesser enemies that I already covered. Just use small arms fire, it'll delete them. One thing I want to say though is please do not underestimate the lower tier enemies. Yes, they will be killed by much easier means just by using primaries, but they can swarm you, especially hunters. Always be on the lookout for hunters. They will catch you if you try running away, so make sure to delete them very early on. Thank you for making it this far in the video. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing, as it does massively help out the channel, and I appreciate it immensely. If you ever want to hang out live, I do stream on Twitch. You can find that in the comment section below. And as always, I hope you all have a great day. I'm Haderaxe, signing out. Peace.